What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another week of What's Tea. It's your girl, Kanan.
And Caitlin, and today our special guest is...
Naja Perkins, Chief of Diversity and Inclusion for IUSA.
And you're watching
What's Tea?
Welcome back. If you did not get to check out our first episode last week, make sure to go do that. This week, we'll be talking about mental health specifically in a college setting.
So let's break that down real quick. For you guys, what do you think of when you hear mental health?
I think of depression, anxiety.
Mental health for me, especially being a college student, stress, depression.
Yeah.
All that,
Yeah, like a combination of all that and like almost like how they interact with one another, because it's oftentimes you don't just have one. You have, it's not just like you're just anxious, you're just stressed. It's like those come hand in hand.
Yeah.
So like what I've noticed, at least with college settings, like there's always that, the typical ones are usually anxiety because of classes, or stress because you're not at home anymore, or depression because you're not in that like a usual setting, and all this stuff is built up on you. And you don't know really how to react other than to like shut yourself off.
Yeah.
Like crawl away from the world.
Yeah. I think with my experiences with mental health, for me, it's like a mixture of being stressed about school. I think my like biggest stressor about school is like, what do I want to do afterwards?
Right.
And then like that, just not really knowing, and then like also having like a family, like outside stressors, and like sometimes things aren't always going right. So it's like when you're stressed about school and family, it's like, you know.
Because you already have stresses as it is coming into college. And now you're on your own and you don't really have that support system that you may have developed at home, and you have to start from the beginning by yourself this time. You don't have somebody to lean on like you may have leaned on your parents or a sibling or something at home, but you're in a whole new setting where you can't do that.
Very much so. Especially being a black woman. That's very different, you know what I'm saying, coming to college, because black people always say don't go to counseling, don't go to camps, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So just having that being black stigma too.
Yeah, like for me, I've like even set up a couple like counseling appointments and just didn't even show up because of like embarrassment. And it's like, why do I feel like this? And like, why am I about to go talk to someone I don't even know? Like, are they going to be able to help me? So, like, I literally just, like, never really even showed up. Cause
I know a couple of my friends have been, like, bullied out of, like, talking about it. Like, they'll go to a family member or something and say, like, hey, like, I don't feel that well about this. Like, I think I may be depressed. And their parents are like, no, you're not. Stop overreacting. You're fine. Move on with it. And then what do? They just keep it up inside. And then it just builds up to a point where, like, you don't know what else to do.
So, like, with being a student, what do you think is, like, causes you the most? Like, what do you guys think really causes you, like, tips you over with school?
For me, it was how many people was here. That's when I noticed I had anxiety. So my hands would start sweating, my heart would be beating, and it was just from me sitting in a class with about 300 people. So then paying my own bills, having to pay my own bills, in addition to student government, graduating on time. It's a lot. So situational depression and psychological.
So could we say that, like, from our experiences, that like the further on you get in college, it almost adds, like, things pile up at some point?
Very much so.
Absolutely.
And you should start opening up. Like, you shouldn't be afraid to even, you don't even have to talk to some like a therapist or something. Just reaching out to one friend or like a random hotline or something that you can just literally put everything off on. Because I know for me, like, a big thing that I do is I journal. I literally just write it all out, because writing it out helps so much. Just not having it in my head constantly telling me you have this all going on in your life, and not knowing what to do after that.
Journaling helps for me. I have a journal for every section. So love, stress, anxiety, classes, anything, I have a journal for. That helps me. Sage. I carry my sage around everywhere I go. Can't smoke weed everywhere. Just do the sage. But definitely IU has a lot of resources for mental health.
I feel like while they have a lot of resources, it's also kind of just like pushed to the side. Like, it's talked about, but it's not talked about to the point where people are comfortable with being open about it. Like I still feel like it's a stigma that like you shouldn't talk about your feelings.
I just feel like we actually asked a poll like on our story if people felt that IU did enough for like students' mental health. The majority of students said no. Right. And I'm 50-50 on it because I think that they do care because they put it out there that there's caps. Like they're always emphasizing 2 free appointments with caps, but also like I don't think they do enough because there's so many students on this campus that are like silently suffering. Like,
and I think with like it only being 2 free ones, some people may need more than 2, and if you don't have the money, you kind of just got to wait till the next semester to start in order to pick up where you left off with that person. You may not be able to build that relationship with a therapist because, like, me personally, I have a therapist that I talk to when I'm at home, and I refuse to talk to anybody else because we've built up that relationship over the years and gotten to a point where, like, he knows what's going on in my life that I don't have to reiterate every single time and spend the entire session just saying what's going on in my life in order to get to what I need to talk to that time.
Yeah, I think something else that contributes to mental health, especially in our generation, is social media. I think that's a big one because people are always looking at the next person. Like, why this person has Gucci shoes and this person has Louis Vuitton, or this girl gets 500 likes on her Instagram and I don't. You know what I mean? I know some people that literally, if they don't get at least 300, then they're feeling bad about themselves. Like, that's really sad, you know?
And it's just that like idea that like you have to compare yourself, and it's like, so you'll see nobody posts that they're sad on like Instagram, let's say. It's always the best of their life, the best that they can be. You're always happy on social media. You don't really post your sadness because then people look at you and you're like, well, what are you doing? So like going on those apps when you're sad already literally just amplifies those feelings because it's like you automatically compare yourself to these people because it's like that's your standard. That's what you should be doing, and if you're not, you either hide it and post pictures just like them, and then you really have nobody to turn to because they're like, oh well, you know, on social media you're so happy, you know, you present yourself as this happy person, but then at home you're not
happy.
So how do you go from being that happy person to being able to open up to people? You know what I mean?
I think it's like super important going along with that to check, like be able to check on your friends, because sometimes, like, even for me, like speaking for myself, I'm always smiling, you know, always laughing, making jokes, but like sometimes I really be needing someone to just be like, hey, are you okay? You know, what's going on? Because obviously I'm not gonna just walk down the street, I'm depressed,
yeah, exactly.
I'm sad, help me, I mean?
Yeah, no.
So it's just really important to check on your friends. I'm not saying all the time, but like it's so important to check on your friends.
Also being self-aware of who you are. So if you're self-aware and you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, that should cut out the social media. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I had to learn. Like, who are you, Elijah? What do you love? What's your favorite color? You know what I'm saying? So things like that.
Getting in touch with yourself, so then if something goes sideways, you know, oh, I need to reach out to somebody else. Because if you can't even identify it yourself, how are you going to be able to reach to somebody else? Because like I know a problem that I faced when I was like trying to accept it was that like people would ask what's wrong, and I'd be like, I don't even know. Right. Like, if you don't know, then how can you ask for help? So like doing that self-search of just sitting there. Saying, like, even if it's just like for me, I write lists. What's good, what's bad. And if it starts to get more bad, then I'm like, oh, something's definitely wrong. But if it's all good, then I'm like, okay, we'll do this again another time. See where I'm at, just to like keep myself aware of what's going on up in here. You know, like making sure I'm good up in here, because if I'm good up in here, it projects on to other people.
Yeah, being self-aware is super important, because like I remember for me, like I feel like I'm not depressed right now, but I've been through it, and it all started like my sophomore year. Things went downhill for me, but like I remember just really not knowing. I would just be like, why am I acting like this? Like I lost so much weight. I would stay in my room, wasn't around people, not eating, and I knew something was wrong, but then I was just like, nah, like I'm Kayla, like I got this, I'm cool, nothing's wrong. And then as the times go, like as it continues and more stuff piles up, you're just like, okay, now you're like, okay,
that's when you take that step back. And speaking of taking a step back, we're actually going to cut to a break real quick and come back with you guys afterwards.
I want our young people to know that they matter, that they belong. So don't be afraid. You hear me? Young people, don't be afraid. Be focused. Be determined. Be hopeful. Be empowered. Empower yourselves with a good education. With a lot of hard work and a good education, anything is possible. And when you encounter obstacles, because I guarantee you, you will, and many of you already have, when you are struggling and you start thinking about giving up, I want you to remember the power of hope. The belief that something better is always possible if you're willing to work for it and fight for it. Our hope that if we work hard enough and believe in ourselves, then we can be whatever we dream, regardless of the limitations that others may place on us.
Welcome back, you guys. So during the week, we had the chance to go talk to both professionals as well as IU students on their thoughts on this topic, and here's what they had to say.
My name is Quillian Murphy. I am a third-year doctoral student here at IU in counseling psychology, and I'm also a licensed therapist here in the state of Indiana, working with individuals with mental health concerns. So mental health is really someone's emotional and relational well-being. So we're thinking about how well someone is operating within their environment given certain characteristics of their personality. I think a big one inside of college campuses are anxiety and depression. So they are really adjusting to this new climate, this new place where they have to learn, the rules and, how to do my own laundry and how do I, make friends with people who may have different political backgrounds or different political perspectives than I do, And then you add that into the fact that, people are trying to get into relationships, and find their partners, or if they're not trying to find their partners, they're trying to find some type of stability in their lives as college students. And, sometimes things can get pretty rough when, they're faced with the challenges of, academics and being around places where they feel that they don't fit in.
So when I'm stressed, I usually just go to the gym, or I'll pray, or just try to take my mind kind of like off the things that's stressing me out for like a good 10, 15 minutes and just kind of like rejuvenate, get myself together.
I guess talking to friends over that, it helps me a little bit because you're able to interact with them and you can even tell them how you're feeling. They can help you out with that too. So talking to friends is definitely a big key to help alleviate some of that stress.
I listen to music. I'll vent to people close to me. I might call home or something. I try to break the habit of using too many vices, like smoking and drinking and whatnot when I'm stressed.
I think it depends on, how it's being used, right? Because it's a platform, right? So social media, I think, when it comes to access to informing people about resources, or what we like to call the little P of psychology, which is that general psychology, like self-help. I think that social media does a pretty good job of dispersing information like that for people. So like if you need like a quick pick-me-up, like for instance, Rudy Francisco is my favorite poet. So if I see something of his that says, that's very inspirational about being a black male and going through the emotions of like overcoming obstacles to be successful, then that's great for me. And I see that on social media. Social media can disperse helpful information like that. But sometimes it can be also damaging, right? So sometimes it's great to unplug from social media.
I think I'd be happier without social media because I feel like I can focus more on what's important, like school. Like social media is a distraction.
Like 2 minutes that I can just scroll through Facebook or Instagram, that's a way for me to just kind of collect myself and be calm for whatever it is I have to go do next. But for some people, going on Facebook and Instagram might cause a lot of stress because they might feel like they have to do something or participate, but it's situational.
I pretty much use it just to laugh. Like, I don't spend too much time on Twitter or Instagram. I only get on there to look at memes and funny videos.
Some guidance I can give is seek out help from individuals around you, a trusted support system. Also, for people who have friends who they may suspect are going through mental health issues or concerns that they may want to be a support with, it starts with just asking, right? Checking in on your friend to see what's going on, right? And you don't want to just respond with like, oh, that's messed up, or oh, that's hard, I can see how that's difficult, You want to like really show concern, because when you ask somebody about their mental well-being and their mental state, and then, they give you something like, I've been really questioning my place here at IU, right? You don't want to be like, oh, yeah, everybody goes through that, right? You want to be like, oh, I can see it. You want to provide a support that's going to let them feel heard and validated, and then see if maybe you can walk with them to the CHG or talk to someone else who may be a further support.
Not to put too much pressure on yourself. College it's supposed to be fun. It's gonna be hard. Classes aren't supposed to be easy, but just realizing what it is that makes you happy and just doing that.
So since a lot of people do have varying mental health issues, I've noticed that there's both positive and negative ways with coping. And so I've noticed that a lot of students may turn to alcohol or weed or other various drugs.
Yeah.
And just keep using that as a way of escaping from the reality that they have.
Right. For me, I think my negative ways of coping was drinking. Not eating, isolating myself. I think that if I would have put myself around my friends and opened up to them more, I would have probably been better. But I think a positive way I coped would be, actually, I don't really know a positive way. I think I pretty much all negative. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Anisha?
For me, I came to college with about $6,000.
Okay.
Saved up. By my sophomore year, that was all going. I just smoked weed. That's it. Smoking weed all day, every day. Self-medicating. Yes. Then I got into CAPS. I lost about 50 pounds. My roommate was depressed too, so we would just be in our rooms with curtains over the windows and just sleep all day. But once I got into CAPS, I was able to kind of learn myself and get back into myself.
So how did you switch those negative into a positive personally?
Sage. Burning sage was my saving haven. Just praying, you can actually feel the energy cleansing around you, bad thoughts going, journaling, as well as talking about it, because I would disappear real quick.
Right.
In any situation, ignore people, all of that. But you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
You need to get that off of you.
Yeah.
Even if you write it down, throw it in the river, you still let it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and for me personally, like you said, drinking was huge, and distancing myself from people because I didn't want people to ask what was wrong with me. Because like I said earlier, I don't know. And if I don't know, how am I going to get help?
Tell you? Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you I don't know. So being able to self-identify, like we talked about earlier, really transitioned, and doing that journaling and reaching out to people. And I found a huge thing for me was volunteering. Just putting all of my energy into something else really took away the time that I had to sit there and focus on how anxious I was, how depressed I was, anything that was going wrong with my life. I just had time to focus on the positive outcomes that I was now bringing into the world.
Yeah. I think for me, with when I was going through what I was going through, was my pride. I have the biggest pride ever. I don't know who I think I am or why I think that I'm just supposed to be okay all the time and perfect. But that's really what stopped me from talking to people. Even my mom, my mom has just the highest expectations of me. So I felt when I was going through, I was oh no, I don't want to tell her because I don't want her to be disappointed. And I don't want to be disappointed in myself. So, but now I think I do pretty well with talking to people. I'm not going through something so big right now where I'm depressed or anything. But I know I don't want to go back to that feeling. So I make sure to pray. I'm super big on my faith now. I talk to a couple of my friends I'm super close with. I make sure to talk to them. They check on me and stuff. I'm not a charity case or nothing. Here my pride goes again. Right. But I just now I'm okay, it's okay that I wasn't okay. It's everyone goes through their stuff, So yeah.
One thing just popped in my mind: hurt people.
Yes.
So I think that's where us as Americans, we need to start with a lot of stuff, especially Black people, being a Black woman. Having that double minority in the back of your mind all the time. just wanted to say that real quick.
Yeah. And I think another thing that like I've noticed is that like if you do go to somebody, making sure that they're not somebody that's going to one up you. Because I've noticed that a lot of people will be like, oh, you're sad, but this is what's going on in my life, so why can you be sad if I have all this?
That does not make you feel better.
That doesn't benefit either of you. That just makes both of you come down, and then like you don't benefit from that relationship. So making sure that when you do go talk to somebody, that it's somebody that you have that relationship already set in place, where you guys are both there for each other. And like set aside your problems for that person at that time and do the reverse for them.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's like a beneficial relationship for both of you, not something where you guys are literally just attacking each other about how sad or how anxious you are with certain situations.
Yeah, so like for college students, what do you think are like positive ways that we could go about like being stressed about classes? You know, just like what do you think we could do to?
Me personally, I think the thing to realize is that not one like solution works for every single person. It's something that it's trial and error. It's not just something that you can apply once, but it's going to take a long time to get there. And that's the most stressful thing, is that it's so discouraging when like somebody says, oh, meditate, it'll help you. It doesn't work. Oh, dude, like for me, I've never tried Sage, so like I wouldn't have known that. Like just knowing all the possible sources that you may have helps a lot, because if one person says, oh, do journaling, but it doesn't work and you give up, you're literally just going to sit in that mind space for as long as it happens. Yeah. What do you think, Anijah?
Let's see. I feel like journaling, we said that Sage, I take walks. So when I get to my max and I know I'm to my max, I just take a walk. Listen to the birds. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy life. Yeah. Because we need to get back to off your phone, you know what I'm saying? Off social media. We need to take in the world. We're on this beautiful campus.
Yeah, for real. And we don't even,
So as far as that, one thing that really helped me was finding a psychologist or a counselor that looked like me. So I'm not going to, I don't like going to CAPS speaking to a white person. It's not anything against white people, but y'all don't understand my feelings. Right. Y'all don't understand where I'm coming from.
There's not that connection.
Yeah. And that was one big thing, very big. So for y'all out there, black people, if you're black, talk to somebody black.
So what do y'all want the viewers to take away from this?
For me personally, just speak up. But speak up to the right person. Because if you speak, and don't be discouraged if you speak up once and somebody doesn't hear you out, because that next person could be waiting for you to speak up to them because they notice things but they don't want to intrude on your life.
I just think for me it's just being okay with not being okay. Like if you're not okay, embrace that you're not okay, get the help you need, don't be ashamed, be open to your feelings, and get the help you need.
Definitely don't be embarrassed by it. Mental health is just like having the flu or being sick is health. You know what I'm saying? So take care of yourself and get your brain checked out, because you only got one life. So get it together, especially while all these resources are free. Yeah, get on that.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching.
Be looking out for the next episode, and we hope y'all enjoyed this tea.
Bye.